Hello! So, as you may know, I enjoy rereading books. I like to do it regularly. I particularly like using audiobooks to reread, and I recently did a video talking about all the books that I reread in 2019. So I wanted to talk about the books that I read in 2019 that I would like to reread. I mentioned one book in my rereads of 2019 video that I read for the first time in 2019 and also reread in 2019, and that was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. You can just presume that that one is on this list as well, because if I've reread it once, chances are I will reread it multiple times. But getting into the ones that I haven't spoken about before, this is in no particular order. Again, I just have them stacked up next to me and I'm just going to go through them as they come to me. First up, we have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, which is a romance book that is hate to love, and it centres around two people who hate each other having to go on a honeymoon together in place of the happily married couple, and it's hate to love. What more is there to say? It was really fun and cute and quite healthy, actually, and I quite enjoyed the fact that the relationship wasn't the source of the drama in this one, so that's refreshing and I really enjoyed myself reading it and would like to reread. I don't know why I'm saying that, that's the point of this video, I'm not going to say that again. Then we have a manga, Orange by Ichigo Takano, which I have just such a massive emotional connection to this book. It follows a group of teenagers, one of whom is receiving letters from her future self telling her how to behave with one of their specific friends who is struggling with depression. And it's honestly fantastic. It's such an emotional, heartfelt manga and I absolutely love it and I will definitely be rereading it. I just said that I wasn't going to say that again. Let's see if I can stick to that this time. Then we have a bit more of a sombre option. We have Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake, which follows mainly one character, but also we follow the town in general as it reels following an accusation by a female member of the town against a male member of the town that he has raped her. And in particular we're following Mara, who is best friends with the girl who's been raped and twin siblings with the boy that is accused of having committed said rape. So this is a really difficult read, but it was absolutely fantastic and I think that the subject matter was dealt with so well, and I feel like it's the kind of book that you will find something new in every time you read it. Something a little bit more happy now, we have another romance, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, also by Christina Lauren. This one is actually friends to lovers, so we follow Josh and Hazel. Funnily enough, they actually first meet at university and then they don't see each other for years, and eventually they meet each other again at a party, and Hazel's a little bit of a quirky kind of character, but she really likes Josh and she wants to be friends with him, and so she sort of forces her friendship on him, and they both set each other up on blind dates because they're single, but love blooms between them, and this story is just so sweet and wholesome, and it suffers a little bit from the not talking to each other thing, but it's really adorable nonetheless, and I really enjoyed these characters, which is why I want to reread it, to be honest, because I just want to spend some more time with Josh and Hazel. Moving on to a sci-fi, we have The Quiet at the End of the World by Lauren James. This is another one of those books that I think that you will get more out of each time you read it. We are set in the future of the human race after a disease has swept humanity and caused mass infertility, and the two characters that we follow in this book are the last two young people on Earth. They are the last humans that there will be unless humanity can fix things, which is what the adults are trying to do, whilst the young adults cope with what it will mean if that's not possible and they really are going to be the last two people on Earth. This is a fantastically written book. The twists are incredible and I highly recommend it. It's just great. Then a bit of a fun and fluffy fantasy, Fire and Heist by Sarah Beth Durst, which follows a character who is a wyvern, which is essentially a were-dragon. And as we all know, dragons love their treasure, and so her and her friends set up a heist, the heist of all heists. And well, it doesn't really go to plan, does it? But it's fun anyway. It's a very short fantasy book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, I think I just want to spend some more time with these characters because they just were so fun. Taking it back to the romance, we have Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which follows the first son of the United States and a Prince of England as they unexpectedly fall in love with each other. And it's just so cute. It's just girl squealingly cute, you know? And I feel like it's the kind of pick-me-up that I will need on occasion, so definitely needed to be on this list. Another sci-fi, The Starlight Watchmaker, also by Lauren James. This is a very short novella about a robot who makes friends for the first time, and again, very cute, nice, easy, quick read, so it will make a really good readathon book because I fully anticipate taking part in many readathons in 2020, and I think this will make a great addition to any of those because it's fun and easy to read, short and quick, and just gives you that good feeling, you know? Plus, I love reading about friendship. Slightly more on the somber side again, but still a little bit fun, we have Romanov by Nadine Brands, which is a book that really took me by surprise this year. It's actually historical fiction. The first half of the book focuses on a fairly accurate recording of what happened to the Romanov family after Nikolai Romanov abdicated the throne. He was the Tsar and he stood down as Tsar, and then his family were basically placed under house arrest and locked in a basement and then shot, which is exceptionally depressing. So the first half of the book deals with that, and the second half of the book deals with the author's version of events following that set of facts, because there's a lot of mystery around the murder of the Romanov family. I won't get into the details here because I want to avoid spoilers, but I found this a really fascinating read and I think that it will be a really interesting one to revisit. Back on the sci-fi again, The Next Together and The Last Beginning is a duology that, again, I think there's so much in these books and so much foreshadowing that you don't necessarily pick up on the first time you read it. So I really want to reread this duology to see if I can find anything that I didn't notice the first time around because I didn't know what was going on. I suspect that there will be lots of it. So this follows Catherine and Matthew, who fall in love throughout time. They seem to be living their lives again throughout time, and we don't know why, but they always seem to find each other and fall in love with each other. And we're starting to unravel the mystery of that. And it's just such a great duology. It really makes you think, and I'm actually quite excited to reread it and see what's in there that Lauren James left for her readers that I just didn't see the first time round. Then we have a graphic novel, Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, which is another romance. It follows two teenage boys who fall in love in secondary school, and it follows their relationship really, and it's just so dang cute. It's so cute, it's so uplifting. These boys and their love for each other just makes me feel happy. So it's the kind of thing I will reread again and again and again and again just to get that good feeling that comes along with seeing these boys so in love. And it's a healthy relationship. We just follow their relationship. Nothing dramatic is happening. And I love that. They're dealing with normal, everyday life stuff, and it's just incredibly cute. And you can read it for free on the Tapas app. So if you are interested, I highly recommend it. It's just so cute. Let's get back to my roots, shall we? And have a fantasy, an epic fantasy. This one is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is another one where the magic system is just so interesting. It's called scriving, and it involves writing in a specific language on objects to make them believe something different about themselves so that they behave in a certain way. So you could convince a lock that it is only able to open for one specific person. You could convince an arrow that it is travelling at 500 miles an hour, so that the minute you shoot it, it's travelling at 500 miles an hour. It's such a fascinating magic system, and also the politics and the world is incredibly interesting, and the characters are incredibly engaging. The second book in the series is coming out next year, so I suspect I'll be rereading this one fairly early on in 2020 in readiness for Shorefall. Another upbeat one now, we have The Paper and Heart Society by Lucy Powery, which is a young adult novel that follows a character named Tabby, who has a bit of a hard time making friends, but she loves to read, and she doesn't really know anybody in her real life who reads. Relatable, am I right? And then she finds a book club and she makes friends with them, and it's just so adorable and cute, and there's something very comforting about it because it's so relatable. So I definitely want to reread this one, especially because the second book is going to be coming out in 2020 at some point as well. Now for a book that made me cry. Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Again, I think that this is one that will be just as impactful on reread, if not more so. We follow a character named Frances as she makes some new friends, and as she starts to question what it is that she wants for her life. This book tackles the theme of the expectation on young people that university is the only way to succeed in life and to progress in life, and that simply isn't true. And our characters in this one discover that that isn't true and start to realise that they can make decisions for themselves, and if university isn't for them, that's totally okay. It's a really, really powerful book. Like I said, it made me cry, and if that's not the mark of a book that I want to reread, then I don't know what is. Another one that took me by surprise now, we have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is also historical fiction, and it follows an entirely fictional 70s rock band that give an interview about how they came together, what it was like to be a rock band in the 70s, and why they eventually broke up. And it's not that I didn't expect to enjoy this one, but as you can see, I'm holding a physical copy of this, and I didn't buy it before reading it. I bought it after reading it because I enjoyed it so much more than I expected that I wanted to own a copy of it, which I think speaks volumes. And I again feel like I want to spend more time with these characters. I really want to delve deeper into their story and what happened to them, and I think it will be interesting to read it again, knowing what I now know, having read it the first time. I hope that makes sense. I think you know what I mean. Then my most recent addition to this list is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand, and quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I reread this again before Christmas because it was just so good. It's sort of like a gender bent retelling of A Christmas Carol. We follow Holly Chase, who is visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, present and future, and then she doesn't change her ways and dies and becomes the ghost of Christmas past herself. And we follow her dealing with that. And even though she should be an unlikable character straight from the beginning, I actually felt a connection to her very, very quickly, probably because I knew where the story was going to go, but how it got there didn't necessarily go in the way I expected it to. All of the steps that were involved weren't necessarily what I expected, and this book also made me cry. I really, really, really loved it. I will be rereading this every Christmas from now on. 100%, no questions asked. In fact, I might struggle not to reread it during the year. I just can't find an audiobook of it, which makes me really, really sad. There is a CD version available on Amazon, so to be honest, I might buy that. Then we have a Sanderson book, of course. We have Starsight, which is book 2 in the Skyward series. I don't even know if this series has a name. I don't know. Anyway, this was amazing. I listened to the audiobook and followed along because the audiobook for the first book that I reread this year was just so fantastic that I just needed to read this for the first time with the audiobook as well. But so much happened in this story that I definitely feel like I need to reread it to ensure that I understood everything that happened. I can't tell you what this one is about, of course, because it's a sequel, and I'm not going to reiterate what I said because I spoke about Skyward in my books I reread this year video, so I will just link that for you so as not to be boring. But great sequel. Really great sequel. And then finally, one of the books that I read right at the very beginning of the year, in fact my first read of a book this year, Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks, which is a self-published book by a YouTuber who has written this first installment in an epic fantasy series called The Dark Shores. There are going to be more books, but there aren't any yet, and I actually read an advanced reader copy of this, so I do want to reread it and read the final version. This is a hardback. The paperback is now out, so I will probably pick that up and read that one because there isn't an audiobook. It is epic fantasy, so as usual it's very difficult to tell you what it's about, but there are various kingdoms, it's multiple perspective, there's magic, there's mystical objects that are coveted by various people, there are dragons. Need I say more? There's lots of politics. The politics are very intricate. I'm not sure I completely followed everything that happened. Another reason why I want to reread, but this is really fantastic book, and especially for a debut novel, I think it's amazing, and I really look forward to rereading it. And that's it. Those are at least some books that I want to reread from the books that I've read this year. There are probably more, but I think that this is a big enough list for this video. Do you like rereading? And if so, are there any books that you read this year that you're desperate to reread? Please let me know down below, but that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks! Bye!